All right, we're live now. Hi, everyone. We're happy to be back live on our social media channels with our dear UD family. This is one of our UD interviews where we love to talk to successful Uzbek professionals working abroad about their career journeys and their life experiences. Very interesting stuff. So stay tuned for the next hour with us, and we're start our conversation with our today's guest from the world of academia for the first time. Gulbahor Amirova is an English language instructor at the American University of Ras Al Khaimah in UAE. She teaches undergraduate students foundations of college English, composition, and public speaking courses. She's also responsible for coordinating institutional effectiveness activities in the School of Arts and Sciences. She has published about supervision and leadership in an academic journal. Before academia, she was working at Rock Bank as a learning and development specialist. During the time, she established an industry credible five-level English language program to support a wider Emiratization agenda, which was well received by UAE nationals at the bank. It was also shortlisted as one of the best 5 L&D programs in the Gulf in 2018. What an impressive background, right? Interestingly, I myself happened to be one of her students at ESL for Teachers course back then in 2012. And I remember her as one of the most professional and charismatic teachers. And I'm happy to be personally contacted with you and, to be on this virtual stage. Welcome, Gulbahor Amirova. Let's get to know you closer. Can you briefly introduce yourself, just about your background, where you come from?
Yes, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is, as you already introduced, Gulbahar. I come from Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan is quite big. I'm from Andijan, it's Fergana Valley. And rightly, as you said, we know each other from earlier, from the center, language center, right?
Right.
My education background is actually started from Uzbekistan when I first got my bachelor's degree in English language, teaching and translation. Later on, I traveled to the US and I got my TESOL certification from the University of Houston. Later, then I traveled again to study. It's very much related to education, but also traveling. It's kind of two things together. And I did my second bachelor's in Japan. It was in education. It was actually not in education. Interestingly, it was in Asia Pacific Studies, where we focused on international relations and non-government organizations and tourism. And then I moved on. I felt like education was always part of me. So even while studying, doing my second bachelor's in Japan, I was teaching at the university as a teacher assistant for the English language. So I said, okay, I have to probably go on and do my master's in education. So I applied and I got accepted at the American University of Sharjah, actually, first, initially. And then I transferred to Ras Al Khaimah, American University of Ras Al Khaimah, where I did my master's in education leadership. So it's a little bit away from teaching English. It's more about how you lead education establishments and how you supervise. Yeah, that's the reason why I got my publication on leadership and supervision. Yeah, and since then I've been working here at the American University of Ras Al Khaimah. After graduation, actually, I had a gap 1 year, not a gap as working, but actually from university I graduated and then I came back as a teacher later on in 2019. But I graduated in 2018. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So graduated from the Asia Pacific University in 2018. Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean American University. I
American
graduated in
University, right?
2018. Yeah, but Japan I
Oh,
graduated in 2008,
right.
10 years earlier than that.
Awesome. Awesome. So, when we're young, it's hard to choose your career path. You don't know what's best for you. But how did you
True.
decide your career path back then, and what factors played a major role in your decision making? Like, what got you into, academia?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. Coming from Uzbek family, which I would say although we were very conservative that time, I believe in my time we barely had one or two people going abroad and studying. So it was really hard for my parents to let me go and study. But it's because probably my dad, he he really supported me from childhood. I really liked reading, and before going to school when I was 5, already I used to read books. I had my own bookshelves and kept reading and reading, and they were like, "Oh, you're not yet in schooling and you're already reading so many books." So he saw that passion in me, and I found myself, very comfortable in explaining, and I found it so rewarding when someone finds it difficult and I help them make it easy to understand. And that's where I found out, oh, that's something probably I must be doing. Although, very interestingly, initially I didn't like teaching. I'll be very honest with you. The
Oh,
reason why I didn't like it, because probably the perception, in Uzbekistan when we were long time ago, maybe now it's better. That time, teaching, were old school, the style, methodology, only books, writing, blackboard, and this kind of boring process for me.
right.
This the change actually, the where I found that I have to change this was when I first met Americans when they arrived to Andijan and they opened their language center. That's where I started to apply and improve my English language and speaking skills. That I saw completely different methodology. I mean, I found it very difficult at the beginning. I couldn't digest it. I was saying, what are they? I'm wasting my time. He's just talking and talking and talking. We are talking to each other. I don't I don't see learning. That's what I thought, because see, my mind was old schooling as well. I thought we have to be writing, reading books, and asking questions, right? So it was very different. But however, after a month, I started to contemplate and see the difference. Where was I before and where I am now at that time? And
Right.
I saw that my pronunciation has improved a lot. Even the teacher was saying, Gulbahar, can you say, how do you feel about it? I said, it's good. And he said, can you repeat again? I said, why? He said, before you used to say, it is good. you know, this was a pronunciation that we had. Good is like book, the same OO spelling.
Mm,
But then, why? Because we were exposed now to native speakers, you improve, of course. So I was saying it's good, and he said you are saying it is good, not it is good. So that's where I start to really, it clicked me. It's like a aha moment. Oh, I can actually help my colleagues
mm,
who didn't get that exposure like I had. So I started to actually volunteer at school and helping them understand, and that's how I started actually my career, thinking that I did the right choice, going into teaching. Yeah, I
awesome.
hope I answered your question.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Uh, that's amazing. You said that since you were a kid, you were so curious and loved reading. And how did it happen? Is that because your family influence, like your parents asked you to read books, or it was like an inborn interest or something? How do you define it?
I think the key here is actually listening to yourself, to your inner self. What are you looking for? I mean, I used to ask many questions. I used to see people struggling, fighting. Sometimes, we went through the transition period after the collapse of USSR. So I used to question a lot. Why is this happening? Why people are not happy? Why are what is this going on? These critical questions always were in my mind. So the questions actually led me somehow to find out more. So that's the reason why I used to read a lot. I used to read books, and even at the university, I remember I would be mostly in the library because
Mm,
I wanted to find out why this is happening, even in the language. I remember my first research was actually because of the professor. He saw the potential, I believe, in me, and he said, Gulbahar, why don't you try to write a research? I said, I don't have any idea what is research, but I said, I will try. And then so I start to read what is research, what is the role of researching, how can I benefit my country or benefit my society? That's how I first started, and I think that's whole thing is about question, finding what is your purpose in life and where are you heading. It
mm,
can be any simple thing, like it doesn't have to be teaching, can be anything, because I found myself sometimes working in different direction as well. Like you already said that I was working in banking sector too. But
Right.
in banking sector also I was educating, because it
Mhm.
was in me. I think it was just probably it came from maybe from genes as well, because my grandmother was teacher, but not my mom
Oh,
and my dad. My mom and dad, they were doctors and engineers, so they wanted me to be doctor, not a teacher.
so everyone was educated in your family then.
Yeah, they are educated.
Got it. Got it. Awesome. Uh, can you tell us about your transition from being a student to being a teacher? How did it happen? And uh, how did your decision making process take place?
Yeah, I think again, I guess I'll be referring back to what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
I in my second year at the university, back in we used to call it INIAS, it's University
Yeah.
Andijan State University, English philology. So um, I remember the style that teachers were teaching us.
Mm.
To be very honest with you, I wasn't happy. I wasn't satisfied.
Oh.
I said there must be more. There must be more, because I used to see sometimes in the movies how the students sit and having together on a green land and studying together. I never saw that happening, and I was like, why are we so stressed out with exams? And then honestly memorizing, and I didn't see the benefit of it. So I started to kind of look around, what can I do about it, or how can I satisfy my own feeling? Again, listening to yourself, it's part of emotional intelligence. That's what I do now, actually. I train also students to emotional intelligence. So I what I did, actually, I found out that they opened up new language center by Americans. It
Mhm.
was 2001. In 2001, yeah. Then I signed up for it. I said I'm gonna go and I'm gonna learn it from Americans, because native speakers probably help me. And I remember standing in the queue. You will never imagine how many people were there. Like just
Mhm.
one class, there are 20 seats there, and I was like, I could not see the beginning of the queue. It was snowing heavily also, and I was standing and I'm thinking, am I going to really pass this? Because so many people for the one class. And I guess it's very interesting. When I entered, I found myself like speaking Uzbek instead of speaking English. American guy was waiting for the interview, and of course it was very competitive.
Yeah.
I was preparing. I will say this. I will say that. But when I saw him, I kind of lost everything that I was preparing, and I said, "Assalamu alaikum." And he was like, "Okay, okay." And then he let me in, and then we started to talk, and that's where I started to see that the difference in teaching methodology, where I said, it must be something very effective, that we should bring it to our system. And then I think our teacher's name was Mark Pedrin.
Mm.
He saw, I guess, in me also that I can teach a lot. I can give this, to students, pass it on. So he invited me. I was the first native language teacher. I mean native, I mean Uzbek. Yeah, local workers in Uzbekistan, in Andijan. I was the first one, because otherwise everybody was American. So
Mhm.
they invited me to work with them. And I said, I can't do it. I'm still student. And then he said, no, no, give it a try. Give it a try. You can do that. So I started, and he explained to me that everything can start from zero, from scratch, as long as you believe you can do it. And the perseverance is very important. You never quit. You keep doing. You keep doing. You have to see the big picture. So that's my transition from studying as a student and starting moving to the teaching sector. I mean, in the teaching part. And yeah, that's how it happened. I think you
Technical
got the
problems.
yeah,
Right.
right.
Okay, awesome. We're already started receiving some questions and people commenting on it. Lots of respect to the master of teaching, Gulbahor. I would call
Oh,
teacher of teachers.
thanks.
And
Yeah, I thank
yeah,
you.
since some of the questions are very relevant to what we're talking about already, just want to
Yeah,
put it out there. So let's see. Nafasat Shukurova is asking, can you speak about your master degree in detail, educational leadership?
of course. Uh, thing is, actually, It's really a good degree, by the way. If you're willing to, and we can meet later on if you would like to, you can share with them my contacts.
Mhm.
I think this is one of the things we would like to discuss also, what can we offer to Uzbek students
Right.
in the future. And Masters in Education Leadership is it's really flourishing at the moment because it talks about how you successfully help the curriculum itself, the resources, human resources in education sector, how students can benefit from everyone in the big picture and how you successfully handle that. So we started from first inquiry in education. Yeah, it builds and the reason why actually I transferred to American University of Ras Al Khaimah was also that their professors that they offered that time were like, they were from Harvard universities, and it was amazing. And the ratio, student teacher ratio, is also amazing because we were like maybe 6 students in the class in our cohort, and the teacher, what I mean is you can get to meet the teacher even outside of the class and talk a lot about what your interests are, what you can improve, what you can do. Yeah. And the career, I don't know if exactly what I'm answering to your question, Nafasat, but the career also in this sector is very, very promising. You could be probably starting from just teacher. Maybe you can go ahead at lead teacher or supervisor. Then you can become leadership, more leadership in education. And of course, at the end, principal, right? You can reach, if it's higher education, then you can probably one day be president of the university.
Right. Awesome.
And they are offering at the moment scholarships as well. So I encourage you, Nafasa, to have a look at it, the website. And if you have other questions, feel free. They have open days sometimes. You're invited virtually and talk to professors, get to know actually if it's something that you would like to pursue or not.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. And our UD family or community, we call it our family, right? Is all around the world, and they come from different walks of life. And we know living as an immigrant has its good and bad moments. And I would love to tap into your unique story and find out how your experience has been. You said that you first moved to UAE. That was the first. Japan, and you did your second bachelor's.
Right.
Can you talk about this transition, moving from one country to another, and how much courage did it take you, and what other sacrifices you made to get where you are now?
Yeah. I think many students are really interested in going abroad and studying. This is something that is, of course, it's something great that you would like to do, and definitely it has promising future. But the sacrifices that you mentioned, I think it's just being far away from your family members and missing them. But also, I think you should be open to everything. My transition going to Japan was. You have to always be ready. My problem, I will tell it as a problem, but I think it was something that's many people find out later on, that you're not ready yet, but you want to try it because this inner desire that you want to try and reach something that's higher than you can take a step, actually should go step by step. So my problem was I didn't plan ahead. So you have to have plan ahead, like what are the financial costs that you have to meet. You have, you will have your needs, and then do you have some friends over there or not? Get to know the university, get to know what are the opportunities for you as a student. Will you be able to work or not? These things I didn't do any research. I just, trusted my gut, and I said, yeah, let me go. I got scholarship 100%, which is not easy to get. So I said, okay, this is a good indicator. I have to go for it. And then I went, and first thing was at the airport. It was the first shocking thing. Once I arrived, I had to take a bus to reach the university from airport. It was 2 hours drive. I knew that they wrote about it in their catalog, but once I was out in the airport, when I approached the information desk, and I started to talk, they didn't understand anything. They were looking like, because it was already internal domestic part. It's no more international. So they were not talking in Japanese. I mean, in English, they were talking Japanese. So I was like, it's hard for me now. What am I gonna say? Good that I learned the word sumimasen, which means excuse me. So I said sumimasen, and then they were like, oh, okay, she speaks Japanese.
What's the
But then
point?
yes, but then I start to draw. I think this skill I learned that as a being translator, where you have to find a way to explain things in easy way. So I use gestures, a lot of gestures, and I draw pictures, and then the person understood what I want to do and guided me. So it's a good thing, but I think it would be much better and smoother if I knew some vocabulary, some sentences that would help me to reach the place. That's what I'm doing now about Turkey. I'm learning some Turkish so that I can be fine. But this is what I would advise. Yeah, the transition and also cultural shock. That's something that people kind of overlook and they don't expect. For example, in Japan, they if you use a lot of gestures, like it's completely opposite in Arab world. They use a lot of hand gestures, in Arabs. You have been here, right? So
Right. Yeah.
so they like to, physical touch also when you're handshaking, hugging, maybe kissing. These
Even
things
in
are
UAE,
not, yeah, in UAE. These things are not kind of normal in Japan. So I didn't know that. I didn't know what to do. Whether I have to give my hand or no. What you need to do. And when they see you using a lot of hand gestures, they feel a little bit threatened sometimes. So I would suggest to learn what the culture's values are and what are the norms. I think these are very important before you. I mean, besides the academic part,
Mhm.
for you to be ready for the society to be part of it, to assimilate, because it takes steps. Whenever you're going to a new country, first thing you get very excited. So you get really excited that you like everything, you want to see everything. But then the next stage of that is actually big disappointment. Suddenly you start to feel like, because you also have homesick feeling, and then you start to see, oh, what am I doing here? At the end, what is the point? So you start to feel really down. But then the next step, it's in psychology, I think we learned this. Next step will be assimilation. Slowly, slowly, you'll be. Oh, I think the next one, fourth step, will be assimilation. Third one is adaptation. You'll adapt slowly, slowly. Yeah,
Wow.
that's the thing.
I'm learning a lot of stuff.
Really?
Malaysian.
You have been to many countries already, Hassan. I think you know it. Maybe not
Yeah.
theory, but you
No,
went
the
through it.
thing is, I understand it, but I don't like understanding that way. Like in this
Ah,
pattern. There's assimilation,
there is a pattern. There is. Yeah, yeah.
adaptation. Okay.
And you stay longer like me now. I'm in UAE more than 7 years now. And you will be part of it already. It's assimilated completely. It's for me very normal now when I see them.
All right.
How men with men, they used to, they greet with each other, they touch their noses. Have you seen
Right.
that?
Yeah.
Which was shocking for me at the beginning.
So,
Yeah.
do you think like connecting with compatriots who are living in that country would help as well?
Oh, yeah.
Or is
Actually,
it
it
better to
will.
avoid?
It will. I can give you a couple of examples. In Japan, because when I arrived Japan, I got to know that in that area where we lived in Fukuoka area, it was a city called Oita. We were only 10 Uzbeks. Can you imagine? Only 10. So it was very important. I didn't know if there were other Uzbek workers or anything. Among students, we were only 10. So we were very united, actually. I really enjoyed being close to them. I still, I could feel that they're part of like extended family. So whenever you feel down, they would call me up and, they will invite each other to picnic. And one amazing story I never forget, even now, if I remember, I will probably cry. The
Mhm.
one day, it was actually New Year. We were working, of course, with students. We have to. Japan is a very expensive country. We had to make money so we can live. So I used to work after university classes. I used to go to a hotel. I was a dishwasher.
Mhm.
That's so interesting experience I learned. I used to wash dishes. So at 12 was at sharp 12 at midnight was the end of my duty day. So Uzbeks that day, they kind of, the Uzbek boys, let me say boys, because girls were separate. We were working in the same place, all of us. So they invited us to come to their place, to their apartment. They let us lived in downtown. I lived at the university dormitory. So I had to travel there with my friends, with other Uzbeks. We were from different nationality, by the way. We were Koreans, Tajiks, Uzbeks, but all come from
Very
Uzbekistan.
diverse.
So we went to that place. You will not believe what happened. Can you guess what happened when we opened the door? They told me you have to come at 12 because it's a very important new year for Uzbeks to celebrate it with their family members, to wait for the 12 o'clock and then this whole thing. They wanted to do something, so we were expecting probably they cooked food, they're waiting for us. So I remember we were I think four girls. We opened the door and I see six boys standing next to next, shoulder to shoulder. And suddenly, when we open the door, they start to sing "Sir Qoyash." Can you
No
believe it?
way.
Yeah, they're putting their hands on their, chest, and they were singing our,
Whoa.
song. I mean, Uzbek national anthem. So I was like, "What?" And everybody would start to sing together. It's so much touching. Till now, we remember, I think. But that's the student time. But now I'm not a student, so in UAE, it's different. UAE, we have a lot of Uzbeks. I think a lot. I can't not imagine even how many. But I'm not in touch with everyone. I do keep in touch with those who are like-minded, like-minded people who have similar goals, or they're at least in, let's say, in education field. I know most of the teachers, Uzbek teachers who are working in UAE. Or students, yeah, similar kind. That's why it's something amazing that you guys created their Uzbek diaspora. I don't think we have such thing. Maybe they do have. Maybe I don't know, but I know we have some Telegram channels that Uzbeks share usually with each other. If you are looking for this, it's here. If you need visa or if you need taxi, or they have a group. I know that, but I'm not part of it. But I know.
Oh yeah, yeah. We always like to say that we're proud to be like a global community, not like
Yeah.
on the States or UAE. We're just global,
Right.
But we try to interact with everyone around the globe, like Europe, Asia. And let's just talk about working as a student. Do you think it's better to focus on your school if you have a chance, let's say, just on your school, or is it better to mix them, like working and then studying full time, working part time? Do you think there's any benefits of
Okay.
working and studying at the same time?
Okay. I guess the tendency is to mix it up. I mean, to study as well as to work, but depends on the students, of course, financial status as well. If they don't need it, then they would probably prefer staying and studying and digging deeper. But if they do need to take some part-time jobs, then sure, it will benefit in terms of, well, I mean, you have to keep good balance in life for everything. If you're studying and working at the same time, the other one should not suffer because of the other one. So it happened to me once. I guess it was in summertime. We were working so much because classes were less. I sometimes would feel like I would collapse because of so much working and working, standing, because my work was standing and doing physical work. And then I shifted later on to teaching again because I found teachers do much better. You teach one lesson and you earn the same amount of money that you spend 8 hours and you do, working job that others, like washing dishes or other students, would do. So yeah, you have to find a good balance. It shouldn't impact your studies.
Got it. Okay. What cultural values do you still hold on to, like as being an Uzbek, as someone who comes from Uzbekistan, even if you live abroad? What are some of the cultural values do you still hold on to? If it's not a good question.
No, it's a good question. I think being Uzbek, I was a rebellious person, I guess. I was quiet person, but I wouldn't agree with many of our cultural things that we had in Uzbekistan. But later on, while I've grown up now, I do understand why we had those, and I do appreciate them as well. But that time I didn't. I would say, why you guys are doing this? I would always question my mom. Why are you doing this? I don't like this. I want to do that. It's rebellious teenagers, and so I was like that, and I was very strange person, actually, I guess. But I do appreciate some of our values, and still I hold them on to them. Um, so one of them is, I guess, being hospitable. We really like guests. Even my husband and me, both of us, we like to invite people a lot. And when they come, I have special, this Uzbek teapot with piala, and I I like to serve them in Uzbek way, and I like to cook Uzbek food, and show them the Uzbek culture. And another thing I really really like about Uzbek culture, that although people not always appreciate that, keeping this everything clean, um, it's been taught since childhood. We sweep in the morning. You find it like wasting time. Why would you do that, right? But
Right.
my husband actually pointed out. He told me I loved Uzbekistan. By the way, he's not Uzbek. He said I really loved Uzbekistan because of this. I said, for what? He said, in the morning when I wake up and go to pray Fajr prayer, or early morning prayer in the mosque, he said I would walk from our home. He would walk to the mosque. It's not far. It's quite far, but he would walk. He said I would see everyone at the same time cleaning the roads, in our mahallas. He said it's so beautiful. And that's the reason why you appreciate the cleanliness. So I wouldn't understand why people keep throwing garbage in their own countries. Like some countries, I will not mention the names. I would see that the people don't care about the street. They care about the home, but not care about the street. But Uzbeks wouldn't do that. I would see Uzbeks more careful because they are the ones who would clean at the end. And
You're referring to the States then, huh?
when I got married, I
Yes.
tried to do that. My husband said, "Don't do this. It's not Uzbekistan. They would think you are maid." I said, "It doesn't matter." you know. Yeah. But yeah, hospitality I think, is a central thing for Uzbeks.
Awesome. So hospitality and
And
clean
respect to parents. It's
respect.
very, very something that I really value. I mean, uh, appreciating that you have elderly in your house and
Mm.
looking up to them and asking them advice when you need, because they do have wisdom. They went through it, then they know what obstacles could come. So if you have someone elderly in your house, we say in Uzbek, if you know, probably it's like your house has a special light, like radiant, because
Mm.
they do have this wisdom, and they can share, and they can guide you through many things that usually young parents wouldn't know. So they have to ask their grandparents to give them piece of advice. And I think that's something we really value in Uzbekistan, that I don't always see that in other countries. Yeah, Asian countries I see mostly, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Um, Hospitality, cleanliness, and respect to parents. Those are the three things that you mentioned
Do you
about
want more?
Yeah, that's good. So, okay, that's good. And what are the challenges you faced as an immigrant? Like when you were like,
Mm.
I'm sure, every country has a specific environment, has its own good and bad moments. But if
Hmm.
you can count some of the challenges, major challenges that you faced.
Oh, I think it's hard to actually point out, but I think the one of the challenges that I had is different mentality. Uzbek mentality is different than the other mentality. So, as being married to other nationality itself is a big challenge for me. Not only different country, but also different customs, different values in the family. And I was really shocked when they wouldn't wait for their elderly to come to eat. Like they would just start eating as, "Hey guys, don't you wait your mom or your dad?" It was for me, to be part of it was difficult. You know what I mean? Like assimilating was difficult for me, because we do have different values. And uh, women also, I think in Uzbekistan, they are, how can I say, I wouldn't I mean, we are more obedient, I guess, and we will easily go with the flow.
Mhm.
This is something that I found it difficult in other countries. They wouldn't. They would object more, but I think it was good learning process for me. That sometimes I know how to object them.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and also I think regulations in the country, because when you live in your country, you don't understand there are so many regulations that's
Mm.
controlling the order. I mean, in the country itself, with regards to your visas, with regards to your other documents that you have to keep them up, and these things we didn't understand initially that it's so important. You know what I mean? So sometimes you see that it didn't happen to me because I'm very low obedient probably
Mhm.
person, but I see sometimes they kind of overlook and they don't do their process on time, and then they suffer after that. There will be consequences,
Okay.
not. Yeah.
Okay. I can see you can really appreciate some of the good Uzbek values as you mentioned hospitality, cleanliness, respect, and you also mentioned some of the challenges that you faced. But what are the good things you learned from other cultures as someone who comes from Uzbekistan? Sometimes challenges teach us some lessons. Some
Yeah, I can share. I
What's
think
the
it's a good
things you can
learning.
learn from Japanese or from the people in UAE? Like,
In Japanese, uh, I think it's difficult to remember Japanese. It's been a long time ago, but
mhm,
uh, I learned a lot of good things from Japanese. They're very disciplined. I would say, I guess I don't know, you knew me before or not. Um, I I didn't practice my religion. I didn't know about it, as you probably know. We are not educated at school about Islam,
right.
so I found it actually in Japan very interestingly, because of this discipline. They're very disciplined, and they many things that you see. It's very shocking actually.
Mhm,
Japan is not
mhm,
Islamic country, but I learned a lot from them, and I learned about my religion by questioning, and I saw so many other religions. I learned many religions as well, so kind
mhm,
of basic knowledge, of course. But
right.
then I would say if Japanese accept Islam, they become Muslim, they would be the best Muslims, because they are so committed to their things, to their community, to their values, to their rules. They're so committed to that. And I would say, oh, but sometimes it goes too extreme for
Mhm,
me. That's one of the challenge, I guess, like in Japan, if I remember now in Japan, working, I had a fever, and I
okay.
said, I have fever, I want to go home. They would say, no, you're going to finish your job. I said, I have a fever, come on. They wouldn't understand. It's like your job, you have to do it. And I said, I'm not a robot.
Oh,
So I quit actually that day. I said, I'm not leaving. I am not. I'm not going to continue. I'm not feeling well. That means I have to rest. So I kind of put myself first, and it should be that time actually. My health is important, right? So
yeah.
yeah. And in UAE, being in actually business sector, I learned a lot of things, because Uzbek now I don't know how is the work environment. I left Uzbekistan really long time ago,
Mhm,
so I can't speak up now about it. I can't speak about that time when I was there.
right.
So working environment's really different. I used to work at the GM Uzbekistan before, if you know, it was called Daewoo that time. So I was a translator for the HR head and trainer. But later on, when I worked in here in the bank, I
Mhm,
got to see a lot of differences, and I learned a lot actually, how
yeah.
to speak up. Let me say that way: how to speak up, how to oppose if you don't agree with your boss. I
Right.
don't think I used to do that in Uzbekistan. I would never do that. So I think I learned that, and also asking critical questions, and they are important, very important. Analytical questions. I learned a lot of skills as well. I think they are all important. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. So discipline, standing for yourself when needed. Speaking up.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Because I was very shy person in by nature. I'm very shy person. I was. Let me say now, not that much. I can speak up. If I don't like, I say that I don't like it. And if would never say no, people would take advantage of it. They would say, she would say yes, and keep giving you tasks, keep giving you things. And my boss said, no, you should learn to say no.
Wow.
If it's not part of your job, you should say it's not part of my job. I said,
Mm,
really? Can I say that? I said, and he said, yes. This is something I think Maybe it's no more like this in Uzbekistan. I cannot say again, as I said to you, but yeah, we have to how to respectfully show the other part the boundaries, the
Hmm.
limits. This is my limit, don't cross. Yeah, this is something I learned outside.
Awesome. Wow. That that's a great lesson. I could just I can't agree. No, like this. I faced it myself as well, especially moving to the States. Uh,
Hmm.
like people know they know their values, they know their rights, and they
Hmm.
no matter what hierarchy they're on, they
Hmm.
just
Hmm.
each other. There's no there's no ageism. There's no everything is everybody is has the same level of respect and dignity, which I really
Yeah.
and those are some of the things that we can learn. Um,
Yeah, I think that's a good keyword you said about knowing your rights.
yes.
Knowing your rights not only as a citizen, but also I would now approach to girls, if any girls are watching me, in Uzbek culture, girls are not taught about their rights much. I don't know about, maybe it's about families, but um, you need to know your rights, especially as a wife in the future, or as a daughter, as a sister. You need to know what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, so they don't cross the limit. Yeah.
That's a whole another conversation that
Yeah, of course.
for the
But
next few
I
hours,
would
I'm
like to
sure.
say that.
And I 100% agree. um, awesome. How often do you visit Uzbekistan? What do you like most about it when you visit?
Uh, Lately, well, I think minimum I would visit once in 2 years, but I try to go every year. I Oh, the most important thing, of course, after your family comes the nature. I really miss Uzbek nature. The seasons that we had, the fruits. I think it's one of the best fruits ever I ate. I think is in Uzbekistan. My husband wouldn't understand that when he gave me first. I was in their home. They gave me apricot to eat, and apricot was so important. I mean, like it's considered to be like delicate thing for them. It's
Mm.
expensive and not easy to find. So they gave me apricot, and I took only one bite, and I put it away. I said, "Thank you. That's it." And he was like, he didn't tell me anything that time. But
You're in
later on, he told me,
Pakistan?
no, he told me later on, you are so arrogant. I said, I wasn't arrogant, but he didn't know. He didn't know what I have experienced, right? So
Yeah.
when he traveled to Uzbekistan after our marriage, we went there for 3 months. He first time ate apricot. He couldn't stop. He ate 1 kilo right away. I was like, "What? Stop! You will have problem. It's so tasty, Uzbek fruits."
Wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Even in UAE, here in UAE, all seasons you find everything you want because it comes
Mm.
from everywhere. Strawberries, you just look at them. They look great. They look, I mean, yummy. And when you test, it's different
Yeah,
story. You
yeah,
cannot compare to Uzbek's taste. I mean, Uzbek fruits taste. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm with you on that. It's the same in the States. Like everything is beautiful, the shape, the colors, and
Yes.
yeah, they're big. But when you taste them, it's nothing like Uzbek foods.
Yeah. Nothing like you're right. So I bring usually when I go to Uzbekistan, I bring in small baskets. I cover them. I
Whoa,
bring melons and apricots.
but
I really love them.
awesome.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so fruits are the main things that you love about Uzbekistan. I can see
and
that.
nature. As I
And
told you, I really love Uzbek beautiful nature.
right,
There, especially in if you look at in winter, you see very beautiful different nature. Yeah, white everywhere, white. In UAE, there's no snow, so you wouldn't see that.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially for the younger generation, defining certain things when they're young is very important, right? And
Yeah.
I'd love you to answer some of the important questions to help young compatriots out there to figure things out. So, how do you
Yeah.
define success? What is success for you, and how do you measure it? Is it money, number of achievements, or the level of satisfaction, or
Mhm.
your position that you hold?
Yeah. This question is not easy to answer, but I'll try to answer it in a simple way. Success is depends on from where you're looking at. If you're looking at the work career success is different, family success is different, but all of them at the end ultimately comes to the feeling happy and feeling content of what you have, what you achieved, sense of achievement,
Mhm.
and also the feeling content is very important for me every day. I think if I talk about my career, if I talk about that, then for me not money definitely, but
Mhm.
money is important, is a part of it. Again, if you're looking at being happy, what
Mhm.
makes you happy, what makes you feel you're achieved something, right?
Mhm.
So they will be different from person to person. So
Sure.
and then also from time to time, like for me now, whatever was my plan, like 10, 15 years ago, alhamdulillah, yani, thank to God, I achieved all of them. But there's still more. It comes once you achieve, you feel happy, you feel successful, then you put up other plans, yeah? Always you have to have plans. I would say for young people, you have to always stay open and perseverance. These are the key words: resilience and
Mhm.
being open in a sense that you should be open to new ideas, not only think that what you knew is the whole thing, that you knew is the world is the
Mhm.
right way. No, always you should be open to learn new things.
Right.
And I think learning is never ends. For me, it's like, we have in Uzbek saying, you learn from cradle to grave, right?
Great.
You know
Yes.
that?
Yes.
It's
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that's
Okay.
the thing.
So resilience, perseverance, open-minded, continues will lead you to having a successful career, having a successful family, and life in general.
And
Awesome.
one more thing I would like to add. If you didn't achieve that, for example, you had something in your mind and you start to do it, it didn't come to you, then
Mhm.
do you feel you're unsuccessful? No, you shouldn't. Because in life, everything has wisdom.
Mhm.
For everything, what I mean is even breaking your arm,
Mhm.
it sounds not good thing, right? It happened to me. It was very important that time that I had to go through it. My mom, I remember, because I was like shooting star, I was with Americans all the time. I was very young that time.
Mhm.
I was at the conferences, wherever you see the successful students, I would be there. I would be on the top list. But once I broke my arm and leg at the same time in the American camp. And for me, that moment was like unbelievably bad situation, of course, you would say, right?
Right.
Um, and I was in pain, a lot of pain. And of course, ambulance came, and my parents reached to the camp after some hours, and all of this.
Mhm.
And I was staying in a bed. I couldn't move anymore. I broke all my toes and fingers.
Mhm.
It's an unbelievable situation. But then my mom said to me, I was in the bed. She told me, "Thank God that you're finally with us." At that moment, I start to think about it. Somehow I forgot the values of families. You know what I mean? Because I was so busy with success and achievements and being fame, all of these, and the top of this, students list and everywhere. I forgot that my mom needs me. I forgot that my dad needs me, and I forgot to take care of my other, siblings, or let's say I have only one brother, but I mean, in general, in a moment, I realized that I have to thank God that I can still breathe. That I saw people walking. I now appreciate those who are on the wheelchair. I had to go through this difficulty. You know what I mean? Is like at that moment you think it's a bad thing happened to you. It says
Mhm.
in Quran also, but actually it was something very good for you in the future. But you have to, that time you should be thankful. I know it's not easy, but if you didn't pass something, you wanted to achieve something. Like I applied for PhD. I can tell you what happened recently. I was rejected. I said, "Yay, I got rejected." I should be crying, but I said, one of my friends, she said, "Oh, they lost the best candidate." I said, "Yeah, they lost me." So you know what I mean is there's something better is waiting for you. Other If one door is closed, the other doors will open. So you should never despair. I wanted to say to youth, to young people, and always keep balance. always keep balance of everything. That's the real success if you can do that.
We hear the word balance the second time, so seems like balance is a very important thing for you.
Oh yeah, it is. In relationship, it's very important. I didn't know that too. I met recently psychologist actually, one of my friend, old friend, and probably you know her. She was English teacher. She became psychologist now. You know her, I guess, Razalia.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Yes, I was. She's very successful one now. So I met her recently, and she was telling me something that strikes, in your brain. Like, I didn't know that. I never thought about it. She said, in healthy relationship, you should have 50-50 relationship. You give 50, the other one gives you 50. Then it's healthy relationship. Otherwise, some can be toxic. They keep taking from you, keep giving you. At the end, you feel like empty, and you keep feeling disappointed all the time. So I think it's a very important key that that everything as a holistically, if you look at it, has to keep in the right balance. Again, sorry, to coming back to the same word, but you should know. Because see, we were created as one human, and we have to be split to many things: career, family, children, parents, home, relatives, so many things you have to split yourself, colleagues, yeah? But don't think ever that one of them is the one that brings you to success. No, all of them should be balanced well, maintained well. Then you feel really happy, and you can achieve what you're planning to achieve. Yeah.
Wow. I'm sure this is
psychological or philosophical.
Yeah,
Not
that's
really,
amazing.
but
What an emotional moment. Thanks for sharing such stories, and especially these could be really good lessons for young people who are like on the verge of like having a relationship or on the verge of like starting their careers and stuff.
I think so. I think that if they listen, of course. Sometimes your own self inside says, no, I know what I'm going through. I know what I need to do. But asking sometimes others who went through it, it's good thing. It's a wise thing to do. Ask other people's opinion, especially those you trust. Yeah. Even prophets used to consult. Our prophet used to consult his wife, his best friends. He used to consult. Yeah, it's very important.
Awesome. Okay. That's a great conversation we had.
Oh yeah, we had.
We're not wrapping up yet. I just like to say I want to encourage everyone else who are watching us ask away their questions because we'll be running out of time soon. And let's follow the next question. What do you think young professionals have to take into account when choosing an employer? That's a very specific question, but
employer.
Yeah.
Okay, choosing employer. Okay. Of course, when you choose an employer, you look at whether their organization goal matches with your goal, because you are part of it. So if as an organization they're heading somewhere which kind of opposes your inner goal, it's really hard then to stay there for long. It's really hard. So you have to think about it. I know it sounds a little abstract, but it can be possible, and it should be possible because it's a part of your contribution. When you're working in a place as a worker or employee, you may think you're doing your job and that's it. It's not actually. You're playing very important role that brings next chain to finish, and the next chain and next chain. So the whole system, it will impact the small things. So your work has a big contribution. So you should think about bigger goal if you want to be part of it or not. And can you offer something to that? I'm sure you can. And also something that offers you to grow. Some employees only look at like short time contracts, and it can be questionable sometimes because if they're just looking at short contracts, then they wouldn't invest in you much. Yeah. So I really appreciate it when I got my new place now even the organization that I'm working at the university. They really encourage you to grow, because if you grow, then organizations grows. Yeah, everybody plays a role.
Yeah, let's talk about your work environment and your colleagues and the culture in your workplace.
Okay.
If you could touch on some of the things.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I work at the American University of Ras Al
Yeah,
Khaimah.
right.
It's a very good university. It's a small university,
Mhm.
and it's been more than 10 years now. 10 years, yeah. Um, it's growing. I see it's developing, and I really feel happy being part of it. I
Mhm.
feel, you feel like you own your success because you own what you want to plan in the future. What
Mhm.
happens is in the organization with my new leaderships, I mean leaders, they always ask you what you think about it. How can you change to better? Or what are the problems? So they listen to you. Then, when they listen to you, when they empower you,
Mhm.
you feel, because you feel that they hearing you. I mean, your voice is heard. Then
Mhm.
you know that what you're doing is very important for the organization, and
Yeah.
then that brings to bigger thing. Like I feel very happy that university gave me this new opportunity, not only teaching, but also as you probably heard, I am also coordinator for the School of Arts and Sciences in institutional effectiveness. It's something that sounds complicated, and it is actually not easy. It's about
Mhm.
quality, and I found it as challenging, but actually rewarding later on, because I found the ways how I can bring and contribute to the university to make it easier to faculty members to do
Right.
their job. So I could successfully create some series of tutorial videos for them to do their job, and not to because it's not easy always to find the right person and ask them how I need to do this or how I need to finish this. What is it required, because the faculty professors, let's say, their mind is busy with their subject.
Yeah.
They want to do research, they want to bring something new to the society. So it's not, the admin part is not something they should be bothered much.
Right.
So I try to make it easier for them. So I think what the feedback that I heard from them was
Mhm.
very rewarding. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I mean, that probably consumes a lot of time, like working, as an
It
instructor and maintaining that work on the side.
and they trust you as well. I mean, I'm really blessed. Last semester, we completely changed the college of the subject that I'm teaching is
Mhm.
foundations of college English.
Yeah.
We moved from one material that we used to use to another one, because the idea that because I'm English language teacher, we used to teach
Mhm.
different levels at language center. So I
Mhm.
told them, why don't we stream them?
Mhm.
Streaming them, like not having everyone in one class, but actually looking at, like, let's say if our newcomers are at intermediate level, let's take
Mhm.
them from there to higher. But if they're pre-intermediate level, then let's take them from this to the next step. So that's the reason why we streamed it very successfully, and I think the outcome is much better than previous semester. But
Mhm.
let's see, we keep adding, we keep modifying it to help students to learn better.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks. And what opportunities are available for Uzbek youth who would like to study in the UAE?
Um, I think, especially now after the pandemics, and people should be open and seeking more opportunities for scholarships, because I know, as being Uzbek student, usually I used to rely on scholarships.
Mhm.
Although you may be coming from wealthy family, but still what you consider as being wealthy may not be the same here. The
Mhm.
values and the economics are different. So
Right.
I think, especially now at Iraq, and I see other universities also in UAE, they're offering more scholarships. So you should be searching for, asking for, send emails if you're interested and you couldn't find in the website. Let's say,
Mhm.
I was really blessed, actually, happy. The one person approached me through LinkedIn.
Yeah.
He came and he asked me some questions through LinkedIn. I was happy that he found me, through, it's not about me, it's about that you are looking for something, you
Mhm.
shouldn't be shy asking. So
Right.
you get to know, maybe sometimes there will be scholarships, and then you are enrolled, then that's the
Mhm.
best thing. Yeah, it's a good opportunity for you to grow.
Being resourceful and
Yes, being yourself, being open, and being seeking. I mean, you have to seek always. You should never stop seeking.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. And we start our conversation with teaching methodologies at the beginning. You said you made a really good comparison between the American methodology and the methodology we use in Uzbekistan. So if you could emphasize some of the important things one more time, that'd be great. It'd be helpful. And
thinking about the students, you mean, in Uzbekistan?
Yeah, and some of the methodologies that Uzbek education system can embrace.
Oh yeah, this is something I really want to do with my PhD. I'm actually trying to write a research paper first proposal for the PhD program. How we can get better higher education system. I'm talking about higher education system because I think now coming with presidential schools in Uzbekistan, it's getting better. I saw their books as well. I was invited to the ministry as well earlier, and I visited them.
Wow.
I got to talk to them, and it was really nice, actually, good experience. I'm really happy that they're improving. They're improving a lot, but I still find that higher education system has big room to improve. Yeah, especially giving freedom to students. First thing I can tell you, I don't know about now what's going on, but if you remember when we started, you were not enrolled actually to my university where I studied, but when you first come to the university, they give you your schedule. There's no ownership. There's no election. I mean, there's no choice given to you as a student. Students should be given choices. Students should be given choices. They should be given to choose. So they own it. Well, because when you choose, you know you are responsible. You are accountable for that. Then you will take different steps. But when someone tells you to do this, that's a different thing. Yeah. So I think also about research and students being active in conferences, these things should be emphasized more, and we should give probably, I don't know what's going on really much about it now, about higher education. Recently I had a conversation, actually we had a meeting with other professors outside of Uzbekistan, all Uzbek professors. We are thinking to do something together as a project to help and bring some useful methodology or techniques or technology even, like when moving to online learning, how successful was it? Were we ready or not? Of course we were not ready, but what could you do thinking out of box? These things should be taken into consideration.
Awesome.
I think somebody has a question.
Yeah, it was very relevant question, so I just started to open it up. Someone who is exposed to modern teaching systems, methods during your academic career abroad, which of these methods would you like to see in education of Uzbekistan University? So,
yeah, I think the recent one I really like it is called flipped methodology, flipped classroom. Have you heard of it? I know it's terminology for teachers. It means you're given teaching materials in advance. I'm talking about university. Yeah, the question is also about higher education. So it doesn't work for the younger students. I'm talking about the higher education system, where if you give the students, we have something called Blackboard online system, where we have, it's a learning management system for students, where the faculty I mean teacher, instructor, professor, they upload their class materials in advance, let's say a week advance, and they will tell the students that you're going to prepare this for Sunday class, for example. You're going to go through the reading, and already you have the background when you come to class. So what you're doing with the teacher, you're not wasting your time. The teacher is explaining to you A is B, a B is something else, just explanatory class. No, they will be talking about analysis, synthesis, evaluation. How can you apply that to life? It's next step of a cognitive skill, right? That your brain has steps. Sorry, I don't want to teach you teaching things here, but we have to grow to that way. I mean, the question, if we come back to the question, if we use something similar, like you give a lot of at the same time you trust students they're going to do that, and then you give them rewards when they do that, and then you try to collaborate. Something that I also try to be involved this semester. We started to I don't know if you have heard about it, COIL program. It's a COIL collaboration between American universities and other universities in the world. So
Oh,
what
exchange
happens
program,
is
right?
the students they will virtually exchange ideas and they do projects together. So if we do such things in Uzbekistan, I think Uzbek students are hardworking, by the way. I need to mention that, or maybe because I am one of them. They are really hardworking. And they always have great dreams, great goals, aims to achieve. So they will be very involved in education and learn in their own learning, yeah. And they
Mhm.
can probably apply in life if
Yeah.
they do such things together. And why I say other countries is because
Mhm.
they cannot see many things that's going on outside of Uzbekistan, so they will be exposed to that. They will get to know. It helps them to probably catch up if something is behind. Yeah, that's what I would suggest. And
Okay.
also giving freedom again, academic freedom.
Freedom. Awesome. So freedom, research abilities, and exchange programs would help.
Definitely.
Uh-huh. Okay. And you published about supervision and leadership in an academic journal. So
Yeah,
what was it about? And
it was actually one project or one paper that I did 2 years ago because I wasn't working here that time. I was working in different place. In that place, it was the school actually, international school in Dubai, and while I was doing my masters, I was working. So I used to see whatever we are learning. I used to look back to that, and then try to see through the lenses of those frames or theories that you're learning, and then you analyze it, you synthesize it, and then you probably give recommendations. So my paper was based on leadership or supervision framework where you look at it's collegial supervision. It's called not traditional supervision. The traditional supervision is where the supervisors at school or even at universities, wherever they are, they not all of them are doing this, but the case that I looked at, it was case study. So the person was looking at everyone in the same way. Like if you have very experienced teachers under you, if you are the supervisor, you shouldn't use the same methodology or the same technique to lead them, to supervise them. You shouldn't. It will not be useful. It will not be resourceful as well. You should use them to help each other. So if you have a high skilled or experienced teacher under you and you have just newcomer, you will have two different techniques. There are 4 different techniques. I looked at each of them and I analyzed why this is happening, why teachers were not happy from their supervisors. What was the outcome? What are the consequences of that to the bigger picture, to the school, to the students' learning? So that the whole thing is about that, and it's available on open access journal. It's a very new one. It's called Academia Letters. It's there only. I uploaded and then I start to get some feedback from other professors in the field and sharing with me more.
Okay, so 4 techniques are specifically tailored for the people at different levels, right?
Yeah, it's about how you supervise the teachers.
Okay, okay, got it.
Because it's education, right? Leadership, right? So how you lead others.
How can we have access to that? Oh, is it like public or is it only?
Yeah, it's public. I think I'll try to get for you the link and share it with you later, maybe.
Sure,
If
yeah.
it will take time.
If you could, yeah. If you could
Yeah,
do it.
definitely. Sure, I will.
Sure. Okay. Awesome. And I have some questions, and you can have very short answers to them.
Yeah, sure.
And since we're wrapping up, we don't have too much time, so we don't have to go into details. So, what is your favorite? What is your favorite part of your job?
Favorite?
Yes.
Favorite what? Sorry.
Favorite part of your job?
Favorite job?
No, favorite part of your job that you're doing.
Part of my job. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. Teaching. I do a lot of things at university, but my favorite part is when you see the students succeed. Like public speaking, for example, at the initial stage, the students are all afraid. There is a stage fear,
Mm.
and then towards the end, you see them successful presenting in front of you, giving the using their persuasive skill and giving you some citations from the research was done about that. You feel really happy because that's how you facilitated learning. Yeah, it's not that we are the reason. No, we facilitate the learning to happen. So it's rewarding. That's my favorite part.
So your student success is your success.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. How do you manage your time?
Oh, time management is a key thing. Yeah, I guess I didn't know initially how to manage my time. I specifically attended time management courses at the institute in Sharjah because I used to work in bank that time, and I found it very difficult to manage both and to balance life and work and family. So it was very useful class actually. I definitely suggest you if you need some, tips and trips, and you can go through them through Google as well. You have to prioritize, and I keep always. I wouldn't say you have to have to-do list, but sometimes it helps. You have put things that you have to achieve, like short term or long term, and then you put them timing. Timing is very important, and how long you want to give that time slot for that specific task, and you prioritize them. Don't forget to prioritize. You may put them, and then if let's say it's not that important, you would procrastinate, keep doing it, and then at the end you wouldn't manage it. So I think it's very important to put the timing. Yeah.
Procrastination is a big problem for a lot of people. Especially,
it is.
New technologies like phone, social media, everybody can get distracted easily. So
I put actually timing for that. I would never open any social media or anything during my working hours. I do, however, I do check my WhatsApp messages because sometimes my husband messages, my son messages me from school. I have to just have a look at it. If it's important, I would read. If not, then only during my break. And then when I come home, like late evening, then I can probably pick up and you manage. You know when you need to do it.
Okay, so you want to say that our viewers should use social media only to watch Uzbek Diaspora videos, and they're very insightful.
Yeah. Again, what you value, what you're looking for.
Right.
People watch many different things depending on what they want. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And how important it is for them.
Okay. So what books should I be reading? Like when I say I, it's like young people.
Depends on. I think really, especially for Uzbek youth, I would really recommend to read some psychological books. It's very important. You know yourself.
Yeah.
And as I told you, I also train emotional intelligence. It's a volunteer job. I really love doing that. Students don't realize how important to be emotionally smart. It's very important in career as well. It's not only in studies. If you want to succeed, especially I find Uzbeks are very actually intelligent. I don't know how, because we are not taught at the universities. I was never taught public speaking or emotional intelligence at university, but somehow maybe because how we were brought up and how important to read their facial expressions and not to speak up when it's not it's not needed, or you see your dad is not in the mood, you don't ask him, right? This is part of emotional intelligence. So if you can do that at career level, you will be very successful to grow, to be promoted faster.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you read such books, and I would say, I read even still Dale Carnegie, and I was reading Goldman, emotional intelligence, and and I recently got another psychological book. I want to learn more about myself. Very late, but it's important to know how you help yourself to be happy at the end. Again, success.
I found psychology one of the very interesting subjects. And
I think
anybody can enjoy reading it because it's about you, it's about your emotions,
and your relationships.
And
at the end, why you are not happy is because of your relationships.
Right.
Usually.
Yeah. Okay. So, what advice do you have for someone new to the industry? To your specific,
To which industry? You
to your
mean
like
teaching?
Yes.
Teaching? Yeah, okay. Teaching is very dynamic. I think industry. You always it keeps changing because the world is changing. For as you can all know now, because of the pandemic, all of us we have to move to online learning or distance learning, and it required a lot of skills. Yeah. So you keep yourself open and be pragmatic. What I mean by being pragmatic is you try to see in advance and be ready before the things happen.
Mhm.
So I always like to read current researches or current technologies in teaching. How can I use like this Kahoot? Probably you heard that Kahoot, Quizlet.
Mhm.
These
Yeah.
tools were not used when I was a student, even when
Mhm.
I was teaching. So it's
Yeah.
very recently I start to get to know it, and conferences. Keep
Mhm.
going to conferences and reading journals related to your topic, so you are updated. Yeah,
Mhm.
and being part of and following them also is very good. If you have a social media, you can follow them, get to know what are the events happening, and so you can be part of it.
Okay. Awesome. You know that some terminologies are hard to understand for some people, like hard skill and soft skills. So, what should
Okay.
someone like? What hard skills or soft skills should someone have in your specific field? And if you could just define them and, and
Hmm.
tell us what they mean and give examples.
Yeah, it's in my field. Soft skills are the skills that you need to probably use, like leadership skills, time management. These are the soft skills.
Oh,
Um, yeah, and yeah, what you have to
emotional
be.
intelligence.
Sorry.
How about emotional intelligence? Is
Yeah,
it?
it's also soft skill.
Oh,
It's yeah, hard skill. I think it's concrete knowledge. Maybe I'm wrong.
right.
You have, yeah, you have to look it up probably. But
Oh,
I think it's very important that you it's not only the content. Yeah, and
yeah.
there's so many factors that will play a role in your success in your career. So you have to pay attention to them. As one of them is, as I said, emotional intelligence or time management. You asked about time management, and how about negotiation skills, persuasive skills? Yeah, and also what else? There's so many things actually in training, because while I was in training department, we had to train bankers soft skills. So I was soft
Mhm.
skill trainer, and yeah, those are very important. You have to. It doesn't matter whatever is your sector or field.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter if it's teaching or not teaching. It will help if you're in career, especially if you're outside of Uzbekistan. In Uzbekistan, it will help as well, definitely. But certain things wouldn't work. We have different uh, perspective. You also mentioned if you have boss and seniors and juniors, how their relationship, and can
Mhm.
you say no, or you cannot say no, how
No,
it impacts you. So these things, yeah.
awesome. Okay, so this is probably our last question. What inspires you and your long-term goals for the future? Two and
My
one.
long my
Yeah.
long-term goals.
Yes. What inspires you and what's your long-term goal?
uh My long-term goals, actually, it's hard to say, but what I can see at the moment is I'm planning to go, as I guess I told you already earlier.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
planning to travel to Turkey to do. It's actually not about Turkey. You could go to UK as well. It's a Cambridge University. Under Cambridge, I have to do my next, qualification degree, especially if you're in teaching or in learning and teaching. You have to be always doing some kind of workshops or qualifications.
Right.
So I'm going to do my degree in teaching English, a postgraduate degree, and then for long term, I'm thinking of doing PhD in higher education. So hopefully I will start soon as well, but it's a long term because it takes minimum 4 years, maximum six
Mhm.
years, while doing your job as well. If you're working full time work already, it takes
Mhm.
longer. Yeah.
Okay. What inspires you?
What inspires me?
Hmm.
That's an interesting question. What inspires me? Many things inspires me. Many things inspire me.
Okay, could be
It's
many
really
things.
hard to say. It's really hard to say.
Okay,
I think my goals, the itself, it's
the
very
goals.
self motivating,
Yeah.
and then
Yes.
and also you see the outcome. When you think about outcome, you will always keep quit. Never quit. Yeah, keep working. Even you fail, you stand up. You continue doing it. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Just a question popped up. I think we've already addressed it, but if you have more things to say, feel free. What would you do when you were a government servant in Uzbekistan? To be precise, what you can give for the generation if you're the Minister of Education?
Oh, that's not a quick answer.
Yeah. Uh, Try to make it shorter as possible.
All right. Honestly, it's really hard to change one thing in Uzbekistan, especially
Yeah.
because many things depend on each other. It's
Mm,
you have to be influential if you want
mm,
to change things. But I would say give the ownership to the
mm,
young people to whatever they want to learn. They have to own it. But how do they own? That's another question. You
mm,
have to give them freedom to choose and freedom to express themselves and to keep working on themselves. And you give the opportunities. I think current Ministry of Education is also doing a lot of work. But
mm,
again, as I said, it's not only in his hands, so it has to be also we have to help each other. It should be united. A lot of effort should be
mm.
done. Sorry if I could answer the
No, no, that's
question.
good. A lot of things could be done to improve the system.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Someone says amazing, motivational, and helpful.
Thank you.
Good luck. So, since I was kind of motivated by your word, like, oh, you have to speak up. So we've got some comments from people who say, like, why don't you guys hold these interviews in Uzbek? Ikki oilam o'zbek nimaga gaplashmayapsizlar?
It's a good question.
Yes. So
No, I'm not shy of speaking Uzbek. Trust me.
I think
I
that would
love
be
my language. I
interesting.
will. I'll tell you something actually. When I traveled recently to Uzbekistan, my relatives they gave me gift books. They know I love books. They gave me books in Uzbek about Bukhara Amirligi. They're old historical books. I said,
Right.
"Oh my God, I'm gonna brush up my Uzbek language."
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah, I think you can answer better because the
Okay.
initiation comes from you.
I'm just assuming that the person is asking Eldar Ibrahim
Mm-hmm.
doesn't speak English. He probably wouldn't understand what I'm saying. So I try to say it in Uzbek. Bizni
Okay.
asosiy maqsadimiz shu ingliz tilida olib borishimizdan asosiy maqsadimiz Uzbek diaspora a'zolari asosan chet elda yashaydi. Ularni nima desam bo'ladi? Bizni maqsadimiz o'sha davlatlarda siz aytgandek assimilyatsiya qilishiga yordam berish, ularga yo'l
Mm,
yo'lakay ko'rsatish. Bundan tashqari mana O'zbekistondagi yoshlar ham ingliz tilini o'rganyapti. Ular uchun qandaydir bir motivatsiya bo'ladi.
to'g'ri.
Boshqa bir hayotda misol uchun siz nimada UAE ya'ni Arab Amirligida yashaysiz. Men
Mhm.
Amerikada yana kimdir qayerdadir yashaydi. Hamma o'zini tajribalari bilan ulashadi va kim uchundir bu narsa qiziq bo'ladi. Bu yana bitta sabab O'zbekiston iqtisodiyoti juda ham nima deymiz yopiq. U butun dunyoni bozoriga integratsiya qilish uchun bizni aholimizni saviyasi baland bo'lishi kerak. Buning uchun birinchi o'rinda ingliz tilini bilish kerak. Ya'ni dunyo bilan integratsiya qila olishimiz uchun, ko'p bilimlarni olishimiz uchun bizga albatta ingliz tili juda ham muhim. Shuning uchun biz ingliz tilida olib borishga harakat qilamiz. Lekin o'zbek tilini unutmaymiz, albatta o'zbek tilida sof so'zlasha olamiz.
To'g'ri, qo'shilaman.
Endi qaytamiz. So I'd love to keep this conversation flowing, but
Yeah, it was
unfortunately, we're
fun.
out of time. If you have any final
Thank
words,
you.
just feel free to share with us now.
I think I gave a lot of pieces of advice.
Just
I feel
one word.
sometimes just to keep it simple, always be open-minded. I think if you want to grow, there is something called open mindset. There is a closed mindset, and so if you have open mindset, means you're open to learn new things. You will not quickly judge people. This is something very bad, and also I would say manage your expectations, because if you don't manage, then you keep breaking your heart. You keep being disappointed, and the reason I find this important, because many things, family life, personal life, I mean work life, in every sector of your own life, you have to manage expectations. People expect from you something, you expect from people something. So if you can manage it properly, you will be content. You'll be happy.
Someone said, the cause of suffering is your expectations. So I think it kind of really.
Yeah. I lower my expectations usually. One of my bosses said also, zero expectation, Gulbahar. When I'm presenting something, he gets, I know you're so excited, but zero expectation. I said, okay. So that he tries to manage me, because I was very expecting a lot of things when I was presenting the new programs that I brought to the bank that time.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure talking to you.
I know this conversation could be long for another 2 hours, but we have to,
yeah, definitely.
With our audience. Thank you so much for your time and attention. We will help out.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed the conversation. It's been a while since we talked closely, and this is not the end. I would love this conversation to be ongoing, and we, as part of the UD community, would love to stay in touch with you. And whoever missed this interview, you guys can watch the recorded interview on all of our social media platforms. You can ask you can tell your family members or friends to watch it if they if they want to. Have a great time of your day, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.